All right, guys, it's Ted again, and we're continuing our discussion on Alcibiades. And now Alcibiades, he has the last time we left Alcibiades, he had just impregnated the Spartan queen and he was forced to leave Sparta, and he now is truly homeless. He has no safe place to go in the Greek world. The Athenians want him dead. The Spartans want him dead. Where is he going to go? And the answer is Persia. Don't forget that the during this time frame, the Persian Empire is still a major political and military force. And Alcibiades journeys to over to the Persian over to what is now Asia Minor, the Anatolia, and he quickly attaches himself to the Persian satrap, the greatest of the Persian satraps in Asia Minor, a man named Tissaphernes. And now Alcibiades, what he does is he advises Tissaphernes on how best to go about sort of moderating the war between the Greeks. And he really didn't tell Tissaphernes anything that he didn't really already know. Tissaphernes was a loyal satrap, a loyal royal governor for the great king of Persia, Darius II. He didn't tell him anything he didn't already know. The Tissaphernes would have already known that it would have been in the great king's interest to simply prolong this war between Athens and Sparta as long as possible, and to simply have the Greeks exhaust themselves greatly. But this is what Alcibiades tells him anyway. And in addition to simply performing attaching himself to the court of Tissaphernes, Alcibiades now, again, like a chameleon, adopts Persian mannerisms. He curls his hair in the Persian fashion. He heavily perfumes himself in the Persian manner, and he begins to partake in these magnificent dinner parties and balls that the Persians like to throw. The Persians were well known for their outrageous behavior at this time. They're simply wantonness, if you want to say it like that. And Alcibiades fit really well into this. He himself had little restraint. If he didn't have to restrain himself, he wouldn't do it. But Alcibiades, he convinces Tissaphernes, the satrap, to allow him to serve as an intermediary to Athens. Alcibiades tells him that what he should do is he should pull back any support he's given to the Spartans, and he should balance it off, giving just enough support to the Athenians and the Spartans so that they can continue the war, but not so that they can quickly end the war. To let them simply just bleed themselves out, and then once they've weakened themselves, the great king can simply slide on in and easily subdue the Greeks in their homelands. Now Alcibiades, he seizes this opportunity to return to Athens. And when he returned to Athens, he finds a very peculiar situation in which the oligarchs in the city are attempting to overthrow the democracy. And now there's some debate over whether this plan was the brainchild of Alcibiades, whether Alcibiades attempted to engineer the overthrow of the democracy, or whether he simply took advantage of the situation. In any event, the plan goes through, and the oligarchs are able to temporarily overthrow the democracy, with Alcibiades seemingly supporting them. Now Alcibiades, after this happens, he goes out to the fleet, and the fleet was primarily manned or rowed by the Thetes, and the Thetes would be the lower classes, the lower order of Athens, and these were the men who were more democratically inclined. And now Alcibiades goes out to them and he says, "Oh, look what's happened in our city. You're away at war, and these people have overthrown our democracy. We need action. We need someone to do something right now. And if you support me, I, Alcibiades, will personally guarantee that the democracy will be restored." And he does this. He convinces them. He goes back in force. He goes back and forth to Athens, and he reinstitutes the democracy. And at this point, he is again the darling of the city. The Athenians are once again enamored with him. He can do no wrong, and he quickly becomes the what he wanted to be in the first place, the only demagogue in the city. He becomes basically the tyrant, not really the tyrant, but he becomes the big dog in the city, the undisputed leader in the city, and he takes the money that he was able to get Tissaphernes to begin to furnish the city of Athens with, and he immediately builds a war fleet of 200 triremes, and he begins to use these triremes to rebuild the prestige of Athens. He sets out and he uses amphibious actions. That is, he attacks he attacks he makes seaborne attacks on the rebelling cities, the rebelling factions of the Delian League, Athens' own little personal empire, and he also makes land attacks. So he's hitting them like sort of two pronged, and he begins to bring them back down, bring them back in line. But Alcibiades isn't as hard-handed as the previous Athenian commanders were. There was an episode right before the Sicilian expedition in which the Athenians attacked the city in which they attacked the city, and they basically just ransacked it. You know, they told the inhabitants that they had to, one, surrender unconditionally, and that the quicker they did it, the better things would go for them. There's this it's the Melian dialogues in Thucydides' book in its history of the Peloponnesian War. Is known as the Melian dialogues, and with the Melians, the people being attacked, they come out and say, hey, you know, we've done nothing to you. We're neutral. Leave us alone. You know, we're a small island, a small city. Just leave us alone. We have nothing to do with your war. We have nothing to do with anything that's going on. And the Athenians very openly and imperialistically attack the city, subdue the city, kill all the men, and sell the women and children off into slavery, and then resettle the city with Athenian colonists. At the end of the war, the Spartans reverse that entire situation and restore the city to its own rule, to its own devices. But Alcibiades, in subduing the rebelling Greek cities and so forth, the rebelling Delian League cities, he did not use a heavy hand. In fact, you know, once he defeats them, he doesn't really impose any sort of punishments. He also doesn't reimpose those heavy taxes that the members of the Delian League so hated, that led them to go astray in the first place. Instead, what he does is he installs custom houses to garner the revenue that Athens wanted from these cities. So he encouraged them to be if you want to say, he encouraged them to employ free trade with everybody, to simply send out as much goods as they could, and to import as much goods as they could, and you know, simply serve as legmen in that manner. He encouraged that, and he simply took a little off the top to furnish Athenian needs, and everything is going good. After this, he returned to Athens, and he still had the whole cloud of his impiety, the whole desecration of the Herms, and simply mocking the religious traditions of Athens. He still had that hanging over his head. And after beginning to restore the Athenian Empire / Delian League, he returned to Athens, and he masterminds what is basically a publicity coup. He leads the people of Athens out to the shrine of Demeter, and in doing this, you know, he helped the people of Athens to go out there and enjoy a religious tradition, or a religious ceremony that they hadn't been able to enjoy since the Spartans had began occupying Decelea. And the Spartans, they couldn't attack this. The Spartans were very keen to observe religious traditions. There's multiple times in which the Persians were attacking, and the Spartans said, "Okay, we'll come, but we'll come after we observe this religious festival." And so the Spartans don't attack, but Alcibiades, he still mounts an armed guard, and he leads the Athenian people out there, and this makes up for his past misdeeds. Okay, and now we'll break once again, and we'll come back, and we'll finish up with Alcibiades, his life, his adventures, and his career.